I'm excited that we can try out some new technology. I'm excited to be here with you today. I dressed up for the occasion. I know all of you are entrepreneurs and entrepreneurially minded, so I wore our Furman University entrepreneur shirt. I love it when I speak because when people hear the word entrepreneur, they think startup, they think launching a venture, and that's one aspect. You know, one of the things we're trying to develop is innovative and entrepreneurially minded leaders. And as Stephen said today, now more than ever do we need that. And so I want to give, I got a short presentation, got about 10 slides. I'm going to make this interactive. So a couple of ground rules. If you're able and you can show your smiling face, show your video. I think it's just great for us to continue to grow the community. If you didn't make your hair today and you're a little embarrassed, that's okay. You can keep the video off. Everybody's on mute and that's fine, but we want this to be interactive. And on the bottom of your screen, you see a little chat box. I think you've been doing this with your webinars. Please submit any questions. In fact, I want to go ahead and test the chat box now. If you can put in the chat just one word that's describing your feelings this morning. I know there's a lot going in our world, in our country, and locally. Just one word of how you're feeling today, just so that we can show how our community's reacting right now. So just one word. You got hectic, we got great, caffeinated, overwhelmed, grateful, optimistic. From Sally, you know, we have Shay saying love. Again, we got another optimistic. This is great. Some positive words here. There's a little anxiousness as well. We know that's and hope, you know, it's great. We have hopeful from Kate Dobbs as well. So really exciting. So you see the chat box is working. I'll have some times for us to share some answers. So please do participate in that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now as well. And we're going to do some breakout rooms. So that's a new concept that we're going to try out here today. All that's going to require for you, if you're here live on the video, on your computer or your laptop or your iPad or your phone, you're going to be requesting to join a room. I'll walk you through that. If you're on the phone and you dialed in, you can still join. It will automatically put you in a room. So we'll walk you through that. Don't worry on the technology. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen here. I have a presentation for you, and looking forward to sharing kind of what we're doing here today. So again, we titled this Change versus Hope, Innovation in 2020. I think it's very appropriate as Furman University's Innovation and Entrepreneurship Institute that I share this type of message. So a little bit about my background. I have both an academic and a corporate background. I actually started my career, I graduated from SMU in Dallas, Texas with an undergrad and master's in accounting. And right off the bat, I was interning at Arthur Andersen. And in fact, in my back of my office, I have my offer letter and I got my full-time offer to join Arthur Andersen. And a week later, they ceased to exist. Right. And so just that's how I launched my career. And so I like to tell people fun facts of myself. I've been cut or laid off at least 2 or 3 times in my career. I then moved out of accounting. I realized that I thought accountants were so boring and I didn't want to do that forever. And so I moved into HR and recruiting. I led the recruiting strategy at KPMG as well as at CBRE. So I do have a love and interest in real estate. I led the global campus recruiting strategy at CBRE and then started my own executive search firm and found my way down at Baylor University teaching accounting again. So I went back to accounting and I thought if you can't practice it well, you might as well teach it. And then I moved up to SMU. I still taught accounting, but I started working with corporations, Walmart, AT&T, CBRE, Pepsi, Shell Oil, and developing executive leaders. And while I was at SMU, I got recruited to Toyota. They had just moved their North American headquarters to Dallas, to Plano. And they were asking me to come and help redefine their executive leadership strategy. And in fact, I love the story. I remember having lunch with their chief people officer. You know, there's about 55,000 employees in North America for Toyota. And Cheryl was asking me, she said, Anthony, if we're going to be here another 60 years here in North America, we need innovative leaders. We need leaders who are going to see what's coming around the corner, who are going to test our boundaries, challenge us. You know, our competition is no longer Ford, GM, Chrysler, Honda. It's Uber, it's Google, it's the students sitting in the college dorm room thinking of the next mobility opportunity. And so that's kind of when I started really playing in this idea of innovation and what does it mean to have an innovative company? And at the heart of that means you have to have an innovative culture. This idea that we're willing to take risk and try new things. And more importantly, to have an innovative culture, you need innovative leaders. And so that's kind of the theme I want to talk to you about today. So if you have any questions, please do share. I think I aimed to Furman 2 years ago to launch this institute in innovation and entrepreneurship. Furman has 4 institutes now. the Riley Institute. It's our political think tank, most notably known for our Diversity Leadership Institute. Second, we have a Sustainability Institute and our Shy Center for Sustainability. And third, we have a Community Health Institute that's in partnership with Prisma. So this second institute, the president, Elizabeth Davis, and the board said, hey, build us a nationally recognized institute that is connecting into the community in the space of innovation and entrepreneurship. And so that's how I'm here today. I've been here 2 years. We have some great programming coming through our initiative for our students, but then also connected into the community. And so I'm really excited to share some of this information with you today. And so right to start off, I want us to get us in a frame of mind. I want us to think of both globally, nationally, and local here in Greenville. And so real quick, on global scale, what are the challenges we are facing today? If anybody can, if you can just share in the chat box, what are some challenges we're facing today on a global scale? You know, I know there's one that I know we all should be getting, but I just want to test it out. You know, so travel, we got from Catherine Travel. So if you just want to put in the chat box, what are global challenges we're facing today? Racial injustice, knowing what is true. That's right. You know, we got this idea of this fake media. We don't know who to believe anymore. Climate change, media, supply chain, especially during this pandemic. Understanding by Angela, that's great. I also want to ask you now, let's think about it more just here in our US, right? What are we facing today? What are the challenges facing just here in America? Division, right? Respect, negative media. Anybody else? Racial tensions. We know that we're getting, the last week or two, we're seeing that really come to light. Challenging views in media. And then let's think local now. What are some of the greatest challenges we're facing right here in Greenville? We got social disparity, restoring the economy, unemployment for small businesses, right? Shutdowns. And I know you, all of us are, you know, are entrepreneurs in our own right. The economy, small businesses are struggling. We know that's huge here. Unemployment. So I think we're seeing a theme here, right? We see here locally is we got economic disparities. We got affordable housing, transportation, restrictions on business, social anxiety. So similar themes. We're seeing this world that's totally connected, right? And so one of the things I want to talk to you about is, and we're gonna put you in groups now. This is where we're gonna ask you, Marissa, if we're gonna do breakout rooms, okay? And so I want to do 4 people in a breakout room. But what I'm showing you today is I wanted to ask you is what has changed in your life, right? What has changed with how you're living your life today as opposed to, you know, what it was before the pandemic, right? Did you like it, and will you maintain this change? Okay, so did you like it, and will you maintain this change? And so these are 3 questions I want to ask you to talk about in your groups of 4. We're going to do in breakout rooms. And so one of the things I want to share is, like, we know quite, and we're experiencing today, is we all move to remote workforce, right? And I show you in the bottom picture, you know, if somebody, we're now remote, it means you can be anywhere in the world and still doing your business. Some people are on the lake. I have a colleague that just emailed me and said, I'm on the beach, call me this afternoon. We can still work on the project. We're using Zoom. Who used Zoom, just by show of hands, if you raise it, if you can see in the video, who used Zoom prior to the pandemic, right? Not a lot of you. And now we're all using Zoom every day, multiple times a day. A little bit of delay. Those of you on your computer or iPad or laptop, you're going to get a request to join a group. Love to, a couple people, you know, I'm just going to call on some folks and just, I'd love to kind of, if you share kind of what your group said, you know, Lucy, Presley, what did your group say? What did they share? What has changed? What did they like, or what did you all like? And then what do you feel like you're going to maintain?
Yeah, we had a great conversation with Cheryl Ivey and Angela Reed, and it was 2 people who I hadn't actually really had to talk much since the quarantine, and so it was nice to connect with them. And Cheryl Ivey had a grandbaby during this time and had to wait 2 months until she could see her, and we just really talked about appreciating the little things that we took for granted. But also it's brought a lot of positive aspects with the Zoom meetings. You know, Cheryl and Angela can hop on a Zoom meeting and don't have to worry about travel time if, you know, they've got back-to-back meetings. And so a lot of our stuff being health conscious, we're definitely going to take, into consideration, I think probably, just day-to-day life throughout, this time and afterwards. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. That's great. Appreciating the little things. That's huge. The no travel time, right? It's making us more efficient and the healthy, and so congratulations, Gerald, for becoming for the new grandbaby. As well, Kate Reed, I'd love to hear from you, Katie Reed, if you kind of share, what did your group share, and what were some of the things that you're going to maintain out of this?
So I think it was a general consensus that we want to maintain, I think, connections, but we want to maintain centering. And it sounds like that we all struggle with that day to day. And how do we balance work and home life? And if you have to put, your credit somewhere, your energy credit somewhere, is it with the little people in your house, or is it in the transaction? And what is going to be more momentous in the long run, and what'll be, worth the pull, I guess. So definitely very similar sentiments of anxiety, and it feels uncomfortable, and we want to get out of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that's thank you, Katie, for sharing. That's a very valuable insight. I think connectedness, centeredness, as well as the balancing of work-life balance. I know Marissa and I were talking about it while you guys were in the break room about, we're at home now, and our home office, is not longer just this little office that we had outside of our regular office. It's everything, and we have our kids could be running in, and you hear the lawn guy outside, and so much more is kind of converging, and so. This is our world now, and I think if we kind of sit back and think this is how it's going to go back to the way it was before, that we're going to be caught off guard and on our heels. And I think we need to start preparing. This idea of being an innovative and entrepreneurially minded leader is preparing. Hey, we're going to be in a new norm, right? And so I'm going to share with you an example of an organization. My hope is that most of you will get this organization as I share with you kind of the background and some details on it, of an organization that was on top of the world, literally, and so, and then I want us to try to guess what this organization was, who this organization is. And so I'm going to share with you a couple of details of this organization, and I'm going to ask you to decide if you can identify who this company is. So real quickly, you're going to see change is an opportunity, right? And so here's a company that was global in reach, right? It had 50% market share with its customer in its sector. Okay, 50% market share in 2007. Okay, and in 2007, it made $70 billion a year in revenue. Okay, so global company, 50% market share, $70 billion in revenue, and had an employee base of 112,000 employees globally. And most of us use this every day. So in the chat room, if you can put in the chat box any ideas of what this company is. We got Apple, we got Amazon. This is 2007, remember, 70 billion in revenue. We got Amazon. I'm not sure it was alive. Facebook was definitely not around at that level yet in 2007. IBM, Walmart. We touched it every day. ExxonMobil, that's a good guess as well. We got Google, BlackBerry. We're getting warmer here. BlackBerry, I get whoever. Verizon, Motorola, you're getting really hot here. Cell phone, iPhone. Okay, we're going to give it up here. I'm going to go ahead and help you all here. It was Nokia, right? It was Nokia in 2007, had 50%. I have the old phone here. I asked my wife, I gave her a hug and kiss this morning. I said, thank you for saving things that we will never use again in our life. And I said, but we're going to use this today in my presentation. And so 50% market share, global, 112,000 employees, and 70 billion in revenue. You fast forward from 2007 to 2013, they have less than 3% market share. They have 20,000 employees and are struggling with revenue with less than 20 billion in revenue, going from 70 billion. So total change, seismic shift, right? And I think their CEO sums it up best in 2016 in a press release and a press conference with his entire leadership management team, looking out to the public. He says this quote: "We didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost, right? We didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost. And he's talking about how we didn't change, we didn't shift, right? And that's what I want you all to think about. I want to leave you with today. Say, I want you to think about what has changed in our life with this pandemic. What are the good things we can take with us? And how are we going to adapt? If we think we're going to go back to the way we've operated before, we're going to be probably taken back in the future with competition, right? Your competition as agents, as a real estate brokerage company, the old playbooks are going to be obsolete. And so I want to challenge you as innovative and entrepreneurially minded leaders to think about how are you going to adapt? What are you going to start to do differently? What is your customer base asking? And so I want you to think about your competitive advantage, right? You know, it's this way, right? The advantage you have yesterday will be replaced with the trends of tomorrow, right? So the advantage you had as commercial real estate agents yesterday is going to be changed with the patterns of buying and your consumers' patterns of behaviors that are going to be changing with the future of technology. And you don't have to do anything wrong as long as your competitors catch the wave and do it right. So that's what I want you to think about. You don't have to do anything wrong, but if your competitors catch the wave and do it right, you will lose out and fail. And so the second thing is you got to have a fighting chance, right? To change and improve yourself is giving yourself a second chance. I call it a fighting chance. To be forced by others to change is like being discarded, being found obsolete. So I want to encourage you to think about that. We are facing that now in higher education, right? We're in an industry, I'm in an industry that I love being in on the inside because we're going to be disrupted. In the next 5 years, higher education is going to look totally different. Online learning overnight in the last 8 weeks, every student in America, you can almost make the argument globally, went from being in person to online, no questions asked. And so the idea that we can just sit back and think when we get this vaccine and we get the social distancing protocols down, we'll all be back to normal. That's not true. And so this is shaking up our leadership ranks across the globe in higher education to be more innovative. What does it look like for education of the future? And so it is so important that we think like innovative leaders. I was reading an article in Harvard Business Review about what are the five most common traits in innovative leaders. They manage risk. We all have to do that. We're in business. We have to demonstrate curiosity. We have to think about, can we learn from other industries and replicate that in our own industry? We have to lead courageously. We're going to have to make decisions now with not all the facts. You know, gone are the days that we're going to be able to make decisions and have all the data we need. We have to seize opportunities and quickly and not be afraid to fail. And we always have to maintain a strategic business perspective. And I will add, and we have to think about our community and our world and have an impact. And so I want to challenge you today is to be a lifelong learner, right? I'm an administrator at a higher education institution, and I want you to think about how are you continuing to invest in yourself, you know, as a leader? Are you going to trainings? Are you developing? Are you networking with people in other industries and saying, how can I take what they're doing and replicate in my business as an agent? And are you thinking about collaborations like you've never thought of before and partnerships? In higher ed, you know, there's talks about you're going to see more higher ed institutions partnering with technology companies, right? Why? The Google and MIT, or, you know, Stanford and Amazon, you know, and the same thing with Furman. Are we going to have to start to think about how do we take education on a mass scale with the same value proposition of the Furman advantage? And so that's what I want to leave with you today. I'll open it up for questions. I know we're over time because we had some technology issues, but any questions or thoughts, continue to invest in yourself, continue to learn, and continue to challenge what's possible. And I think you're going to find the Caine family is always going to be needed. I was just talking to our city manager this last week, and I said, you know, I was speaking with you guys, I said, we need you guys more than ever. You're the entrepreneurs of this city. And if you guys innovate, Greenville will succeed. And we need to help you continue to innovate and be relevant now more than ever. So thank you again for this time, for me to share this message with you, and any questions anybody had.